Okay, start answering in the class only since only you have joined right now. I suppose that on getting to know that today there will be a question answer session. Everyone has not joined today. Okay, anyways, start answering the questions.
C.
Exactly. Okay, so what happens here? We know that the gametes cells contain half the number of chromosomes. They don't contain the pair of chromosome, they contain half the pair of the chromosome. That is, they contain only 23 chromosomes. Out of the 23 chromosomes, right, they will be having either X or the Y chromosomes. Particularly right now, I'm talking about the sperm cell. So sperm cells can either have the X or the Y chromosomes. But for the ovum, they will only have the X chromosome. Getting it now? Ovum have X chromosome. So do tell me what will happen if the sperm having the X chromosome were to fuse with the ovum having the X chromosome. So the child bond will be a male or a female.
Male.
That will be male. You sure about that?
Yes.
The zygote that will be formed will be having an XX chromosome now. And what I have told in the class that females have the XX chromosome. Females have the XX chromosome. So the child bond will be a female. Okay, Ibrahim.
Okay, sir.
I suppose, Ibrahim, you have missed that class of sex determination. Yeah.
Yes.
You have missed. Viga was also not there. And what about this one? If this one obviously sperm having the Y chromosome, we have to fuse with the womb having X chromosome. So thereby the zygote will have XY and the child bond will be a female. Okay, let's do one thing. If others have not joined the class right now, so how about we take up your doubts then? Okay, Ibrahim. So you continued the class from here, I suppose, while we were talking about the hormones other than the sex hormone, right now?
Yes, sir.
From there you were regular. So the topics which you have missed, let me just give you an introduction to the topics, okay? Because this is a lengthy chapter, required several classes to complete in detail. Nonetheless, I will try to cover up the topics which were left with by you. See, basically, what happens that any kind of organisms, including humans, they are able to participate in reproduction only after a certain age in their life. Because before that, the requirement for reproduction is not fulfilled by the body. So they can reproduce only after a certain age or time period in their lifespan. And in that lifespan, they will grow into an adult, right? So what happens that when a girl or a boy they would be reaching a certain age in their life, so thereby certain changes starts to take place in their body. Changes like their voice they will be changing, there will be growth in their height, sweating will be increasing, there will be increased oil production by the oil glands under the skin. So you might see that certain times face will become very oily, will be sweating. Adolescent children will be sweating a lot when they reach a certain age in their life. There will be growth of hair in the faces, in the armpits, and in the pubic region. Okay, now pubic region basically the region around the reproductive area. So basically the region below the abdomen. So there the growth of the hair will take place. So all these changes are taking place, but simultaneously, along with all these physical changes, there will be some psychological changes also. Getting it now? The way how an individual will be thinking, they will be talking, they will be interacting with in their group, in their social circle, that will also evolve, and in some way they will start. It will also start to become mature, right? A sense of self consciousness develops in them. All these changes are taking place. All these are the physical and the mental changes that is going on. Along with that, now the reproductive organs of the male and the female, mainly the reproductive organs of the male is the penis, testis, uh, sperm duct. All of this makes up the male reproductive organ. So the male reproductive organ will start the production of the sperm, particularly testis, will start the production of the sperm. All of this will be happening when the male child would be in the age of 12 to 14 years. So sperm production takes place in them. Okay, so this marks the beginning of puberty, when their body have attained the sexual maturity. As for the female, menstruation will begin in them when they reach the age of 10, 11, 12, 13, usually this age. So why menstruation takes place then? Why bleeding takes place them in every 28 to 30 days? What basically happens? Their reproductive organs have also matured by then. So their reproductive organs, what will be happening in them? No? Their reproductive organs will start the production of the ovum. I suppose you were there in the chapter reproduction in animals, right?
Yes, sir.
So the ovary will start the production of the ovum, and ovum will be released into the fallopian tube. Okay. So if fertilization will not take place, so thereby this dead ovum or the egg cell, along with the thick lining of the uterus, it will come out by the vagina in the form of the blood. The blood vessels, the tissues, and the dead ovum, all of it comes out in the form of the blood. And this will usually begin by the age of the 12, 11, 12, like that. So this marks the beginning of the puberty in females, and the release of the sperm marks the beginning of puberty in the male. So all this will be happening only after a certain age in their life, which will make them capable of reproduction. Okay. So talking about adolescence, adolescents will talk about the, listen carefully to this statement. This is very important here, that adolescents will talk about not only the physical change, not only about the mental change, but will also talk about the reproductive change, the reproductive maturity that will be attained by the body. So that is what adolescence is. Also, we can say that adolescence is basically a period of transition. It's a period of transition where the child is transitioning from into an adult. They are no longer a child, but they are about to become an adult. So that is called as age of adolescence. Okay, and the children who are in this age group, they will be called as adolescent. That is adolescent. Okay, so adolescence is a time period when the body leads to reproductive maturity and experiences some changes. Okay, also the adolescence period includes the teenage basically. So many times the adolescents will also be called as teenagers. Okay, and it typically in both the girls and boys will become by will start by the age of 10 and will continue till the age of 19. And adolescence includes puberty also. Puberty particularly talks about the reproductive maturity, when the body becomes mature to reproduce. Getting it now, Ibrahim? Pay attention here. So puberty is that time in the life of an animal when the body becomes capable of reproduction. Getting it? So understand the this like this. See that this is adolescence. In adolescence, several changes takes place in the body. One of them is the reaching sexual maturity or becoming capable of reproduction. Apart from that, there will be some physical changes. Physical changes will be like growth in the height, change in the voice, increase in the muscle mass, getting it now, or growth of the hair. All these are the physical changes. Apart from that, there will be psychological changes also. Psychological changes will take place, like the feeling of self consciousness, feeling of self respect, self consciousness. All of these will also be developing in them. Mood swing, certain time they'll be teenagers will be feeling very much happy, very much elevated. Certain times they'll be feeling very low in their life, very low in life, and very much demotivated. So this is called as mood swing, and this is basically related to the mental psychological changes. But one of the important changes that will be happening in the age of adolescence is becoming capable of reproduction. So when they become capable of reproduction, that will be called as puberty. So puberty is included in adolescence. Getting it now, Ibrahim? Puberty is included in this. So there's a small difference between them. So adolescence is a broader development stage that talks about physical, emotional, cognitive, and social changes from childhood to adulthood. They are they are transitioning from child to adult. Okay, now that is one thing. But talking about this one, the puberty, it will only talk about the reproductive maturity. What reproductive maturity? When a person will, when a child will say to have received the reproductive maturity, when their reproductive organs will start the production of spatial cells called as gamete cells, respectively male and female gamete, that is sperm and ovum. So it will begin by at the age of 9 to 14 in the case of girls, and by the age of 10 to 15, it will be beginning in the case of boys. So it begins early in the female. In the female, puberty begins early. Okay. Talking about some of the important physical changes that the body goes through during age of adolescence. Ibrahim, avoid all form of extra other works during the class and pay attention only in the class. Okay, now otherwise you will be missing on important concepts. Okay, Ibrahim. So the growth of the voice box or the larynx, which is present in our throat, takes place. The muscle of the larynx will grow in size. It will become bigger, and it becomes more bigger in the case of the boys. The size of the larynx will be more in the case of the boys, and it is also called as the Adam's apple. Adam's apple, basically, it is related to the story of the prophet Adam, the first prophet. So it is said that the prophet Adam and um, the prophet Adam, basically, he was forbidden to eat from a tree. There was an apple tree from which he was forbidden to eat the apple of that tree. But he was he was deceived into eating the piece of that forbidden fruit by Iblis, by basically the devil, right? So he ate that apple, and it is said that like this is a myth actually. Okay, now it is actually not correct, but the myth around this circulated that that apple got stuck in the throat of the prophet Adam, right? And somehow this came to be known as the Adam's apple. But this is a myth, and this is not accurately accurate that the apple got stuck. There is no solid evidence to back up this myth. Getting it, Ibrahim? But
Yes.
nonetheless, that is how this Adam's apple team came to be known. Also, take a look at this larynx. Inside the larynx, you have two muscular uh, two muscular structure called as vocal cords. So this will be producing sound as we'll be breathing in and breathing out. So air will be passing out by the vocal cords. As the air will be passing, it will vibrate and hence sound will be produced. So that is some another thing. By the way, the size of the larynx is more in the case of the boys and it is smaller in the case of the girls. So thereby this, the voice of the boys are deeper. They have a low pitch, while the girls have a high pitched voice. They have a high pitched voice. Further, another physical change that takes place in the body is the increase in sweating and oil production. So, inside our skin, there are some glands called as oil glands, and they are sweat gland present inside our skin. So, this one that you're seeing here, that is a sweat gland, and it is connected to a tube-like structure all the way to the surface of the skin. So, during the age of adolescence, what happens now? The metabolism of the adolescent is more. The metabolism is more. The rate of digestion of the food, the rate of respiration, the rate of breathing, etc., all of that is more. The blood pressure is also more usually. Okay. So because of all that, what happens? There will be increased sweating in the body. Also, there will be increased production of the oil by the oil gland, or also called as the sebaceous gland, right? So these are present under the skin, not present everywhere. Like the sweat gland is not present in our sole, in the sole of the feet, it is not present. Okay, that is one thing. Oil gland will be absent in our palm and in the sole of the feet. It is absent there also. Talking about the oil gland, actually, we're saying that oil gland will be not present in the palm of the hand or in the sole of the feet, while the sweat gland sweat gland will be absent in our lips, for example. It is absent there, or in certain parts of the body it is not present. So these two will be having some important functions also, but if they are secreted in extra quantity, so then that becomes problematic. Like sweat will be helping to regulate the temperature of the body now, as I have said in the earlier classes, as we know, a general fact that We humans are cold-blooded animals or warm-blooded animals? What
Can
are
you
we?
repeat?
We humans are cold-blooded or warm-blooded animals?
Warm-blooded.
Warm-blooded. And what's the speciality of the warm-blooded animals? Hmm?
I don't know.
They, they can maintain their normal body temperature irrespective of the environment. Okay, Prime. So suppose in the summer season, how are we going to regulate our body temperature? By sweating. So sweating gives the cooling effect now. If you are sweating a lot and if you were to sit under a fan, you will feel cold. Getting it? So sweating
Excuse
gives
me,
you a
sir. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry,
जी
sir.
वा जी वालेकुम सलाम.
Hi, how are you? कैसे
Yeah,
हैं सर?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. How about you? How are you?
Okay. I'm all good. How is Ibrahim?
Yeah, Ibrahim is doing good, but he
Okay.
has been inconsistent for a while. Like he has missed few classes for this chapter.
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, we travel for outside country.
Okay,
That's
okay.
the reason. Okay. So, inshallah, and let him to keep open the video. Okay. Don't let him
Hmm.
to switch off. Okay.
Okay, okay, okay,
Okay, please. Thank you, sir. Thank
okay. You're welcome. Okay, Ibrahim. So what I was saying that basically at the age of adolescence, yeah, we were talking about the warm-blooded animals that they are capable of maintaining their body temperature. The normal temperature of the human body is 37 degrees Celsius, as you know, right? So they are able to maintain this temperature. How are they able to do so? Suppose in the summer season, when the temperature of the surrounding increases to about like 40, 42, 45, so it will become problematic for our body to function normally if the temperature increases now. So in order to maintain the 37 degrees Celsius of the body, what the body does now, sweating takes place in the summer season, and sweating gives the cooling effect to the body, right? So that is how this is advantageous. Oil that is secreted by the oil gland, it will be moistening our skin. It will moisten our skin and will be protecting our skin from drying out. Plus, it also prevents our skin from the harmful ultraviolet rays. To some extent, it will be preventing it. Getting it? Now? So they have their functions to perform. They are important. But if they were to be secreted in extra amount, more than the required amount, then it becomes problematic. Getting it? Now? Then it becomes problematic. Like for example, oil, it is nutritious. It will be serving as a nutritionous medium for the bacteria to feed upon. So bacteria will start to feed on it, and that will lead to acne, that will lead to pimples, etc. Getting it? So that is one thing. Further, another significant change takes place is the increase in the height. So increase is in the height is the most conspicuous or the most observable change that happens during the age of adolescence. There will be a sudden increase in the height of both boys and girls. Initially, the girls will be growing faster as compared to the boys. You might have observed this in the class that compared to the boys, some girls would be growing faster as initially, but later on, the boys would be growing more taller as compared to the girls. Usually, that's the usual thing which we observe everywhere almost. So during the age of adolescence, the long bones, the bones of the legs and the arms, it will elongate and it will make the person taller. So, for example, we have bones in our leg, like femur is the longest bone in our leg, no? The femur bone. It connects to the hip joint, by the way. Femur, tibia, fibula bone. Or, for example, in our hand, in the upper hand, in the upper forearm, you have, sorry, in the upper hand, you have the humerus bone. This one over here, right? And in the forearm, you have two bones, respectively, radius and ulna. Basically, the point of discussion here is that all these bones would be elongating. It will lengthen in size. Its length will increase. Hence, the person will become taller. Getting it? Now? But initially, who will grow faster?
Girls.
Girls. Okay. Further, we had now learned about the formula to calculate the expected growth of height of a person. Like if you are suppose, for example, let's say if you are like 12 years of age or 13 years of age, let's suppose. So what will be the full growth of your height? So in order to understand that, we have a table. Okay. So say this is a chart given. Okay, this is a chart based on certain studies. This chart was prepared. So if someone is at an age of 8 years now, if someone is at an age of 8 years, like for example, if a boy is of 8 years old, so only 72% of his height has grown. Only 72% of the height is. Lower your camera. I can only see the half of your face. Yeah. So if a boy is of 8 years old, he has only attained 72% of the total growth of the height, or the girl has 77%. Getting it? So restrictively from 8 to 18, the percentage of full height that has that has been attained by a girl or a boy has been shown here. So it's 72, 75, 78, 81, like this here. This one here is 77, 81, 84, 88, 91, 95, 98, 99, 99.5, and then 100%. Got this so far? What has been shown in this chart?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what we see that if suppose someone were to ask you, like, suppose if someone is at a particular age, okay, particular age, and we know how much of percentage of growth of the height that has attained. So there's a formula to calculate the expected growth of the height. We can calculate the expected growth of the height of the person by a formula. So let us understand how we can do so. Formula to find the full growth in height. Formula to calculate the full full growth in height. So we can calculate it by a formula. So suppose right now, if a person has attained a certain person measures certain of as a height of certain centimeter, let's suppose there's a boy. A boy is 12 years old, okay, and is 140 centimeter tall, and is 140 centimeter tall. So at the end of the growth period, so if you try to find out what will be the likely growth of his height now at the end of the growth, I mean to say that when he will be reaching the age of 18 or 19 years, by the age of 18, what will be his full height? Right now, at the age of 12, what is the height of the boy here? Yes, it is
196.
140 centimeter, no, as I have written it here. It's 140 centimeter, okay? So it will be calculated using a formula. The formula says that full height, full height in centimeter equals to present height, present height in centimeter divided by percentage of height at this age, which we will be this value will be taking from the chart which we have. So by the age of 12, what is the percentage of full height in the case of the boy at the age of 12? You're on mute actually. 84% of the height has grown now at the age of 12. See over here. I'm going to put the screenshot of this one in the chat box. Okay, because it will be helping you to solve some questions which I'm going to give you in a minute. So the present height is 140 and the percentage of height at this age is 84. That is 84 multiplied by 100. Do the calculation and do let me know what is the answer you're getting. Do it on a rough page.
1 second, sir. I'll be right.
Okay, okay. Ibrahim, by now you should be done. Do it quickly.
$166.
167, you should be getting close to 167. Okay. So approximately you should be getting 167. Okay. So this number tells us that the full height that this boy will attain by the age of probably 18 or 19 years will be 167 centimeter. Getting it now?
Yes.
So now taking the help of that chart, you're going to solve one question. Let me just write the formula. The formula which we have just seen. So full height in centimeter at the end of the growth period will be that present height in centimeter. Height in short, it is written as capital H small t. Okay. And percentage of full height multiplied by 100. So see, suppose the question is that there's a boy and the age of that boy is 16 years right now. Okay, 16 years right now. And suppose currently the growth of the present height in centimeter, let's say it is 145 centimeter. So you have to calculate the full height. Calculate the full height of the boy. Okay, I didn't provide the chart to you. I have sent it right now. Yeah. So as per the chart, you look at the present percentage of the full height. That is 94 or 98%. Is it Ibrahim?
The chart is still loading in chat.
Okay, it is still loading. Okay. I have shared it once again. Basically, just let me tell you the value if it is not loading. Take a look at the chart. So at the age of 16, the percent of full height in the boy is how much?
98.
98. Okay. Then solve the question accordingly. Solve this quickly. We have many more things to discuss.
148.
148. Well done. So that is the full height of the person, that boy, by the age of probably by the age of 18 or 19 years. Good. So these are some of this is how you can calculate the full height of the person by the end of the growth period. So apart from all the changes which we have learned, there will be change in the shape of the body also. As they will enter into the puberty, their body shape will start to change. In the case of the boys, the shoulder and the chest will become wider. Why the shoulder will be becoming wider? Because the shoulder blades. Shoulder blades, you know what is shoulder blade now? The shoulder blades of the boys are wider as compared to the girls, so thereby it will be more wider. The chest will become wider. So that is one of the important change in the shape of the body of the boys. Plus, the amount of muscle mass in the boys are. Seems like you're having some network issue today. Ibrahim, is there some network issue with you today? Is there some network issue from your side?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Plus, what are we seeing? That the total amount of muscle mass in the boys are more as compared to the girls. Okay, now. So these are some of the physical changes in the shape of the body of the boys. Plus, talking about the girls, in their body, the distribution of the muscle and the fertile mass, fat mass will be different. In fact, in both the cases, whether we talk about the girls or the boys, the distribution of the muscle and the fat in the body of the girls and boys are different from each other. They are different from each other, right? So particularly fat would be depositing at the belly, at the other places in the body. Getting it? Particularly in the case of the girls, the area below the hip will be wider because of deposition of more amount of fat and muscle mass. So that is one important things. Plus, like fat and muscle mass will be depositing on the in the thighs as well, in the buttocks as well, etc. So basically, the area that is below the pelvis, there more amount of fat will be depositing. Okay, as compared to the men. Plus, regarding the height, we also discussed that in the class, that height of the family members would be generally similar. The siblings, the parents, all of them would be having the similar height. Why? Because the childrens, they have received the characteristics from their parent now. The childrens have received the genetic characteristics from the parents only, right? So if the parents, suppose if the both the parents are of 6 feet, so most likely the children is also going to be 6 feet tall, right? If they are 5.5 feet tall, suppose both the parents, so the children most likely will also be having a height somewhere around that. Okay, so that is one thing. But sometimes the height of the children will be more than their parents. Sometimes it will be more than their parents, right? What could be the reason for this? That certain time children will be taller than their parents. uh, so height is influenced by so many factors, right? Now, if parents are tall, the children are going to be tall. The parents are short, the children are going to be shorter. Okay, no? So genetic is one of the factor, but there could be another factor why the height of the children will be more as compared to the children. In the body of the children, the growth hormone will be more. The secretion of the growth hormone might be more, thereby the growth of the height will be more. Remember, while learning about the hormones other than the sex hormone, we did learn about the pituitary gland, the master gland in the brain, right, Ibrahim? That secretes the growth hormone. So the secretion of the growth hormone might be more in that children, in that child who is taller than the parent. That is one thing. Or the grandparents might have been taller. So the characteristics that a children inherits, it is inheriting from the parent. While talking about the parent, they had inherited the characteristics from their parent now. So the characteristics pass on from generation to generation. Getting what I'm trying to say, Ibrahim? So the children might be more taller as compared to the parents because they might have received like the genes of the grandparents might have influenced the height of the children, or the growth or the secretion of growth hormone might be more. That is one thing. Apart from all these changes, one of the most significant changes that brings about puberty is the development of the sex organs in the male and the female. That is one thing. Apart from that, there will be mental, emotional, and intellectual maturity. So at the age of puberty, person will achieve mental, emotional, and intellectual maturity. So question is, what does all these things mean? So mental maturity basically means that, like, mental maturity or the emotional or the intellectual maturity, all of them are somewhat different in with each other. Like, mental maturity basically means that it will basically mean that, like, someone is having a good understanding of who they are, right? I have good understanding of who they are. They are able to act in a responsible manner, right? They will be able to admit that they have done something wrong, their mistakes. They will have the having the courage to admit that someone you have done a mistake. That is part of mental maturity. Or having a clear mind, or able to identify your purpose, being able to accept your fault, or being able to embrace the change that is taking place around you, or believing in yourself. All of this talks about the mental maturity. Getting it now? So the children would be on the way to achieve all these things. Where did you went? I can't see you. So there will be intellectual maturity. So intellectual maturity basically means that the ability to think and understand and make their decisions based on the experience, based on the reasoning. That will be called as intellectual maturity. Right now, intellectual maturity talks about the ability to think and understand different ideas, to understand different informations that we get, and based on the information, based on the different ideas which we have, based on reasoning, or based on our personal experience, we are able to make a decision. So that is called as that is called as intellectual maturity. That is called as intellectual maturity. Or talking about emotional maturity. So emotional maturity basically means that the ability of a person to manage their emotions, or in order to recognize, in order to feel their emotions, right? In order to be able to express their emotions, or to respond to a stressful situation in an appropriate manner, right? Or being accountable, or having empathy towards others, right now. So all this talks about the mental maturity. So all these changes would be taking place, and that will be happening. Okay. Apart from that, all these were the changes which we have learned about so far, right? At the same time, while all these changes are taking place, the there will be increased secretion of hormones in our body. The hormones are special chemical fluids that are secreted by different glands inside our body, and those will be responsible for bringing about all these changes that we are seeing in the body, whether it be the growth of the height, whether it be increased sweating, whether it be increased production of the oil, whether it be increase in the height or the muscle mass, etc., or whether it be secretion of the sperm and the ovum. All these changes are actually brought upon by the, yes, Ibrahim, by the, yes, you there, by the hormones now. Ibrahim, you there in the class?
Your serene system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it will be brought
Yes.
upon by the hormones. Yeah. So hormones will be responsible for bringing about all these changes in the body. So the changes that are occurring in the body at the time of puberty, they are occurring because of hormones. They are the chemical substances that will be responsible for carrying out message from one part of the body to another. Suppose, for example, when a child reaches the age of 10, 11, for example, a boy reaches the age of 10, 11, 12, 13 years of age. So the brain, the pituitary gland in the brain will be sending hormones towards the testis to start the production of sperm, right? So the hormones will be carrying the message from the pituitary gland towards the testis to start the production of sperm. In the female, the hormones will be carrying the message from the pituitary gland towards the, can you guess? In the case of female, the hormones will be carrying the message from the pituitary gland towards the ovary to start the production of ovum. So these chemicals, aren't they acting as a chemical messenger? Yeah. Guess there's some network issue from your side today. So there will be two types of glands in our body. The glands which I am telling you, the glands like the pituitary gland. So there will be two types of glands in our body. Okay. One type of the gland will be called as exocrine gland. Another group will be called as endocrine gland. Exocrine glands are those glands whose secretions will be released onto the surface of the skin. For example, eye, tear gland, uh, you have the salivary gland, or the sweat gland, or the oil gland. The secretion of all these glands comes onto the surface of the skin. Comes onto the surface of the skin. Plus, they do not go into the blood. They are not going directly into the blood. Okay, na? Or like the milk also via the mammary gland, or the enzymes that are secreted by the stomach. They are not going into the blood. The enzymes, digestive enzymes secreted by your stomach, mixes directly into the food. Or does it go into the blood? You tell me. Ibrahim, is there some network issue from your side today?
No, sir.
Okay, then why you are not responding? See, what I was saying you about this one, no? Exocrine glands, the secretions, Mhm. There is some network issue. Okay, see, what was I trying to say, that the secretions of the exocrine gland will not be going into the blood. Okay, now this will not go into the blood. So all the secretions from the tear gland, from the salivary gland, sweat or the sweat gland or the oil gland, enzymes by the glands present in the stomach, digestive enzymes, or the milk by the mammary gland, etc. All these are not going into the blood, plus they will be secreted onto the surface of the skin. That's why they are exocrine gland. Another group of glands are endocrine gland, whose secretion will directly go into the blood. So take, for example, pituitary gland. At a certain age in the life of a child, when they reach the age of puberty, 10, 11, 12, 13 years like this, so pituitary gland will send some hormones towards the testis to stimulate the secretion of the sperm and the ovum, or some other hormones also. Like it will stimulate the testis to produce testosterone. It will also stimulate the testis to produce sperm. And as for the female, it will stimulate the ovary to produce the estrogen, that is the female hormone. Also, it will stimulate the ovary to produce the ovum, right? Plus, plus there are some other glands like the thyroid gland is there. It will secrete a hormone by the name of thyroxine, which will go into the blood. Okay, adrenal gland will secrete adrenaline hormone, which goes into the blood, right? So these glands, their secretions will go into the blood. Their secretion will go into the blood, but we have some exceptions here. We have some exceptions like testis and the ovary. Some of the secretion will not go into the blood. But talking about the hormone that is produced by the testis and ovary, that will definitely go into the blood. So testosterone, estrogen goes into the blood. Adrenaline secreted by adrenal gland, that is also going into the blood. Okay. Thymus produces thymine hormone that also goes into the blood. Thyroid gland produces thyroxine. So all of are going into the blood. So that's why these are called as endocrine gland. Endo means inside. The secretions of these glands are inside the body. Exo means outside. So the secretion of exocrine glands are outside the body. Are they outside the body, or plus they will not be mixing into the blood? Getting it so far? So these types of glands will be responsible for producing hormones, and hormones will be responsible for bringing about different changes in the body, right? Plus, at the age of puberty, what happens? Two kind of sexual changes takes place. One kind of sexual change is considered as the primary sexual change, or primary sexual characteristics that will be developing in them. Another type of sexual change is the secondary development of secondary sexual Ibrahim, what's that background noise? You there in the class?